आज का टॉपिक जो है ये है डाइवर्सिटी इन द लिविंग वर्ल्ड। आप देख रहे हैं डॉक्टर बायो क्लासेस। जैसा कि हमने आपको पीछे एपिसोड में बायोलॉजी से रिलेटेड जो भी नॉलेज था आपके सामने मैंने एड्रेस किया। अब ये यूनिट 1 का एपिसोड 2 है, जिसमें कि ए ब्रीफ अकाउंट्स ऑफ दिस यूनिट इज डाइवर्सिटी इन द लिविंग वर्ल्ड। द टू important words here indicating that is, one is diversity and the other is living world. So diversity, it is different types of, as we assume it or we observe around us, different type of flora and fauna, they are surrounding around you is there. So in this case, even in, if you think the early human being, he was also aware about the inanimate matter such as wind, sea, fire, etc., etc. And these were worshipped. Early man defied means worshipped by even early man, and some of that is the animate means living organism. Living organism, plants and other is animals. So because the living world, it is made up of two major components, that is inanimate matter, which is a non-living matter and represented by this wind, sea, fire, etc., and animate living organism, that is the plants and other the different microbes as well as that is the animals are concerned is there. Some of the inanimate and some among the animals and plants, they were worshipped even by the early man is there. As far as the knowledge of the human, and here what is anthropocentric? A branch of science, it is known as anthropology. How that is the human being came into the existence is there. So this anthropocentric view of the human being or the society is concerned is, and its knowledge concentrated on its valuable point of view is there, because he only studies in earlier way whether this organism is beneficial for them. So it is a limited study came into the existence. So first of all, the men which were able to study in systematic manner, identification, nomenclature, classification, these were the different categories is concerned. On this basis, what happens? That is spinning of such studies, sharing whether there are similarities among the living ones or they have some contradiction to each other. Because in this population community, some members they are cooperative one, some are they are making confliction is there, even of the members of the same population, and the population of the community, even they are interacting cooperative as well as contrary to each one is there. Whether it is, if we go through the development of the different flora or fauna by horizontally in a particular era, or that is the vertical events also there. So gradual evolution of these different varieties of the flora and fauna came into the existence. when the man become so concentrated, then he observed where there is some need to conserve this biodiversity in the future is there. So different project has been launched all over the world is there. This this can be understanding in the following way. The biological concept of species. Here these some important things which I want to tell you. Here different biologists whose contribution is so wide that their name could not be able to mention all of them, but up to some extent whose contribution is a very much play a role. So here the Aristotle, Theophrastus, Darwin, Lamarck, and in this system a classification that is also helped by a scientist who is known as the Ernst Mayr, whose birth took place in July 1904 in Kempten in the Germany, and his death took place in the year 2004. He remained 100-year old, and during this period, about 80 years career in his studies, he contributed a large components of this biology is concerned. Even his importance is he made a very important concept of biological concept of the species, which is recognized all over the world is there. As nowadays he is also known as the Darwins of the 20th century. Now the question, who was Darwin? So how the evolution, I mean to say that when the animal came into the existence or any living organism which you will study in your the unit which belongs to +2, that is evolution, origin of life and evolution, in which the conservates and the conservates and Sydney fox, from where a prokaryotic cell came into the existence. Since then some evolution changes took place by which a particular species came into the existence, and the term species, which was species, and this term is given by John Ray. John Ray, who used the term is species. So, and what is species? So for the definition of this species, the biological concept of species that was recognized all over the world. That's why he is so prominent, and he is known as the Darwin of the 20th century. Who was Darwin? Darwin, whose theory was species of origin of species by natural selection, a particular book which was published by Darwin in 19th century is there, but in 20th century it was Ernest Mayr, who is also decorated by the title is the Darwin of the 25th century, and his field in which he worked ornithology, a branch of science which deals the study of the ornithology, a branch of science which deals the study of birds, followed by taxonomy, the Taxonomy, it is the nomenclature, identification and classification. It is a branch of science which deals the identification, nomenclature, classification of the living organism is there. And branch is known as taxonomy. Zoo, geographical distribution. Zoo, animals, geography, particular habitat where different type of animals they are located in a particular region over the world is there. So this is called zoo geography of the distribution of the animals. Followed by evolution. Evolution, descent with modification. And the other is systematic, how that is the living organism, they are interconnected, though morphologically they are different from each other is there. It shows the different form of the life in which the structural and functional unit of any living organism which are morphologically, anatomically, physiologically, they may be up to some extent they may be different, but their structural and functional unit of that organism is cell. So this is the similarity, how though they are the different type of flora and fauna that is scattered over the world is there, but they somehow they are having some interconnected link and having so similarity is there. So this is the systematic study of that is the living organism is concerned is there. So as we observed this whole world, then you see different type of species they are there. They are interacting each other is there. So in this unit, systematically there are 4 categories or 4 chapters in which we will study in detail. The first chapter, that is, it is called the living world, and the second is the biological classification, how the different classification is carried out is there. Then it is the kingdoms, and that is the kingdoms. In due course of time, when we will start the biological classification, where the kingdom's origin, the origin of the kingdom took place is there, because in the ancient time there were only 2 kingdoms were present. That was one was Plantae and other was Animalia. But in the selection, in the invention of different microscope, so a few branches are there in which the third kingdom system came into the existence, that is called Monera, then it is Protista, then it is Fungi. So in detail I will discuss in the biological classification. So these are, that is the 4 categories we will discuss in due course of time. Thank you.